Welcome to Carpe's Corner, so happy that you're here. So take a seat, have a tea, or grab yourself a beer. Here at Carpe's Corner, we'll learn about our lives. And in between, you might decide to exercise your rights. It's Carpe's Corner. Carpe's Corner, don't forget reviews. Comment, like, and subscribe is all you gotta do. Here at Carpe's Corner, please appreciate our guests. And just remember, everyone's got something on their chest. In Carpe's Corner.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Carpe's Corner. I am CarpeDonktum, and my guest today is the amazing Greg Gutfeld. Let me see if I can get him on here. Here we are.
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Great to be here. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing all right. I heard you had some issues with a storm recently. What was that about?
Yeah, actually, even when things are happening to you that's bad, it's always worse for someone else. So I was in my house watching these trees flying all over the place. I have a lot of windows, and I just assumed I might die. And then the tornado watch ends, and I walk outside, and I'm fine. I walk outside, and there's this giant tree on top of my neighbor's Tesla. Completely destroyed. I know that's like first world problems, but I was going like I had no power, I have no plumbing, but I didn't have a car in my driveway, so I was lucky. So it's like it's kind of sad that you look at things that way. But these were massive trees that came down in this tropical storm, but I think I was lucky to escape and be here too. I might not have been here.
That brings us to this.
Yes.
that was a plus, right? To survive the storm.
Yes, exactly.
So, very briefly, tell us about your book. We don't have a whole lot of time, but
it's just
the finer points.
It's just I decided to do an experiment where before everything I would do, from sending a tweet to texting to talking to somebody, I would ask myself, is it a plus or a minus? And it's something that sounds very obvious to people who have a strong upbringing, because basically what I've invented is something we've had for thousands of years called impulse control. But it's impulse control for idiots, or impulse control for people like me who tend towards the negative side of things. For example, I'm the type of person on Twitter, if you come at me, I will come at you, which is a negative. Like a positive thing is to let that stuff roll off you. And so I was basically trying to teach myself impulse control to reduce the negative actions in my life, and also put a little top spin on my positive actions. And I decided that, I could probably write a book about this and apply it to everyday life. So that's why it's self-help, even for people who hate self-help, because I do hate self-help, because I don't like self-help writers. They're cheesy and weird, and they're often oddly self-destructive.
Yeah, it's sort of something funny that I've noticed is that some of the people that write the self-help books, when you see a picture of them, you're like, I'm not sure that's working for you. Like,
it's true. It's so I worked in health magazines, and I was the fitness editor for Prevention. So I'm in my early 20s telling older people how to live, which is hilarious because all I'm doing is drinking and smoking. I was a fitness editor for prevention, and then editor of Men's Health, and smoking, smoking daily. So I was a living, walking hypocrite. But I would go to these health conferences, and I would meet other health writers, and they were not healthy at all. They were kind of, and also, what's interesting about health writers? They contract whatever they write about. It's amazing. It is amazing. It's like if they go to a conference on chronic fatigue syndrome, which was really big in the 90s. I don't know, you're too young.
Yeah.
They would come back. You'd send a freelancer to a chronic fatigue syndrome conference on a cruise ship. They would come back convinced they have chronic fatigue. And so it's like, because I think that when you work in a health industry, you're constantly surrounded by this stuff, and it can't help but influence you. That's what I also think, to a large degree, is happening with social media in general, where we are being incredibly influenced by this stuff that's churning around us, making us crazy. It's making me crazy.
Well, we're surrounded by the negative. That's the social media is designed to reward the negative.
Exactly.
And the craziest people get the loudest voice. I mean, clearly, I'm pretty crazy myself, so I got a loud voice on social media as well. And I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, but I was rewarded for being a good troll.
But here's the interesting thing about you. This is the first time we've ever spoke. We've DM'd. You're remarkably sane and calm. You're remarkably calm. Now, but what you were doing was outrageous, and so it's always interesting. It's like I always find people who are really funny to be not manic, not completely.
Yeah.
Everybody's not Robin Williams and in fact, I have a real issue when I'm in the green room with comedians who are being comedians in the green room. Almost 99% of them aren't like that. They're never like, when they're in the green room, they're just sitting there thinking about what they're going to do. They respect everybody's space. But if you have somebody who fashions themselves a comedian or something and is in the green room being zany, you're going to have a terrible show because he's not going to be funny.
Right. Well, I mean, that seems like the person that's just trying too hard.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe it's nerves or whatever, but like, you are correct. I'm a very calm person. I always thought it was funny when people would like accuse me of, you're freaking out or whatever, and then I just go on a live stream and I'd be like, I'm not freaking out. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I don't get much more calm than this, but
you seem like a very calm person. I'm not very calm. So I don't even know if you need my book, to be honest, because you seem like you're stable. I think the book is more for weirdos like me. But I mean, you've had tremendous success. It's really interesting. When I always look at when people do things differently, and I think there's a lot of examples since 2016 of people doing things differently, of curating their own careers. And I think of you. I think of Scott Adams. I think of Dave Rubin. I think you can go into the podcast world and see it. It's pretty impressive. But then you see the periscopes that Scott Adams does, which are so unique and unusual. And then there are people like you that pretty much took from Twitter as opposed to give. And I think that's a really important thing, because I always consider myself an idiot for giving to Twitter. Twitter doesn't pay me jack, but it could get me fired.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense to me. Why am I doing that? But what you did was you actually took the platform and you made it profitable. I think if it's not profitable yet, it will, but it's working out for you.
Scott has made me sort of who I am, I think. Yeah, I got onto Scott Adams real early on in 2016 and just phenomenal guy. I can't believe he sits in front of his computer or his iPad and talks to himself for like 50, 60 minutes a day. And like, I can't do it.
And he's stoned. actually, I don't know if he's stoned, but he gets high every day, every morning.
Well,
I think he
it's medicinal.
there's no yeah, it's medicinal, and he doesn't he doesn't advise other people do that. But
Yeah.
when he's on, what's interesting, and he's going to be on the GG show on this weekend. What's interesting about him is that he's not pretending to be TV. He's not pretending to be accessible, but in his own way, he becomes it because of the illustrations that he used, the word choice, the succinct nature. He also talks pretty slow, which is helpful because the concepts can be very heady, or the concepts can be not heady, but the first time it goes around your head, it's not exactly absorbed. So when you, like, for example, when I do the 5 and I think I have a genius idea, I'm talking so fast to get it in that it's usually forgotten, and then somebody a few days later will tell me, you know that thing, and then I end up repeating it a lot because I'm pretty sure nobody cared. And
yeah, I think one of his best qualities is that he can reach just the average person. Like, he's really, really smart, but he can dumb things down enough to the level that most people can understand.
Well, I don't know though, because I would disagree in the sense that what he does is he's trying to pull you out of this. I call it the prison of two ideas, but you can call it team sport politics or confirmation bias. The idea that you're inside, when you're inside something, like a battle between left and right or whatever it is, you can't see that there's actually a position above that, and that's a position that I guess you would call persuasion, where Scott Adams is, and where he's trying to pull people like you or me or anybody listening to him out of this world above, so you can see. Why is it that CNN can't see what they're doing? Why is it that Brian Stelter says plainly that there is no anti-Trump network? That is delusional. I will never say that Fox News was pro-Obama. I'm not delusional.
Right.
I would never say that. And I would say there were very strong voices on that network, from Glenn Beck, that were hypercritical of Obama. So I'm not how you can say there's no anti-Trump network when there's probably 15 platforms you could just rattle off, from websites to blogs to social media. But anyway, my point being that
to major networks. I mean, there's like 4 major networks that are all basically rah. Let's get rid of Trump.
I guess the point is that I think we're at a stage, and I know a lot of people use the phrase red pill, where people are beginning to see that the media is lying to you, that they're lying to themselves when they're denying what we see with our own eyeballs, which is looting and destruction, chaos, and they're telling us that we're not seeing it.
Peaceful protest, Greg.
Yes,
peaceful protest.
Yeah, and to me, it's like I've evolved in the last 5 or 6 years in my own thinking. I've never been a fan of the media, and I've been in the media for 30 years. I was always the odd man out. Even when I was at magazines, I wrote for tons of women's magazines. I edited Men's Health, and then I did Stuff magazine. I edited Maxim in England. I was on the launch of the Huffington Post with Andrew Breitbart when he was running it. I did all this crazy stuff. I've been on all the sides of the media, and I hated the entity itself while I was there, but I could never really articulate why I hated it. I always thought that it was just the liberal media bias, but if there's something else about it, then it's not just the liberal media bias. There's an arrogance to it. There's a cluelessness to it. And there's an inherent destructiveness. And I said this about, 3 weeks ago about Trump, that fake news is the enemy of the people is a phrase that is as big as tear down the wall. We just don't know it yet. We don't know it yet.
It's resonated with so many people, and as you were just saying there, it is waking people up. People do say the red pill thing, and I think that's been way overused, but I think it is a good sort of allegory or whatever. But I have friends that's they're liberal people, and every once in a while they'll call me and talk to me. Like just a couple days ago, and because they can't talk to any of their liberal friends about this stuff, but they're like, I don't think these are peaceful protests. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. Like, why are they calling them that? Or like, did you watch the new George Floyd video? Or, and you're like, I don't quite understand. This isn't what I was told, or just 100 things like that.
You know who's great about this? You know who's really good is Brett Weinstein, and he does this blog with his wife. It's called Is it called Dark Horse? Or I think it might be.
I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
So what he is he's a leftist progressive who's trying to inject common sense and reality into the left. He's like basically trying to do a nightly intervention for the left, and it's so enjoyable because he's so smart and so funny. But he's like, he was the victim of the Evergreen nuttiness, and so he's lived it, and he predicted this would happen. I always find him to be really one on the tip of that spear of getting reality to the left. May never happen.
Well, I think it's so funny to see people that were on the left and then see their reaction to where the left is now.
Yeah.
Like somebody like a Dave Rubin is just looking at the world being like, oh my God, what has happened here? Or
he was in the Young Turks, and it's like, he was. You got to be liberal to be in the Young Turks. So and also you can kind of see that a lot of times with Rogan. Rogan will claim that he's a big leftist, but when you're listening to him, and he I don't know how he.
That's for his own protection. He claims he's a leftist for his own protection.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But. I did want to get before we have to go, because I know you're on sort of a time constraint. What are your thoughts on Kamala Harris? Everyone wants to know.
I think it's the best choice he could make. I think that the choice is really important because I don't think he's going to be there. I mean, you probably have heard Scott Adams' theories. I'm kind of in agreement with it. That I think the decline has been fairly obvious and fast moving, and I think she's being chosen perhaps to be the candidate. Maybe if they do win, maybe he's president for 6 months. I don't know, but I do think that she was the strongest candidate that he could pick, and he was in a corner. He had to pick a woman of color anyway. I will say this: I liked Val Demings. I'm not sure
I even know who that is. That she wasn't anywhere towards the top.
I think she was a cop, a military veteran out of Florida. She was a tough lady, but
Well, if you want to defund the police, you can't pick up a cop.
But they
as
did.
Your VP. Well, I mean, that's sort of.
But how fast? Where is she going to land in that when they do that convention? When they start doing all the intersectionality and the identity politics, and they just completely ignore the riots, and they completely ignore the looting. Where is she going to be? Is she going to talk? Is she going to talk about crime? Is she going to talk about justice, or is she going to just play the game of just talking about race and gender? Because that's what's going to happen, I think.
Well, she'll play the game of race and gender. That's the only game that she's allowed to play. I think to your point a little bit earlier there, CNN is already running stories about, if and when Joe Biden steps down.
Not a right-wing conspiracy anymore. They go and when she steps in, and it's like, wow, I go, so they're already paving the way for this.
Like imagine voting for a candidate that you knew was going to step out in 6 months. Like I don't. This doesn't make any sort of sense to me at all.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was comforting myself when I was an anti-Trumper in 2015, and I was going, well, you know what? He'll probably be impeached in 6 months, so it'll be okay. I remember telling myself this, and then I started.
How did you break out? By the way,
when he won, I decided to focus on words and not deeds. Deeds got it opposite. Deeds and not words.
Yeah.
And I've written about that. It's like you can spend 4 years waking up to being surprised by the sunrise, which is like being surprised by his tweets, or you can focus on his deeds, and his deeds so far have been pretty great. So I've only focused on that. And
was it slow, or was it more like a snowball going downhill?
It was kind of a snowball. I think.
Yeah.
He still frustrates me, but I accept it.
Right.
Here's my last point on this. I would rather have an obnoxious guy tweeting 1,000 times a week that pisses off everybody than 1,000 body bags every week. So I don't understand how the left can be so upset about a personality who's kind of a peacenik, a person or an obnoxious dove. Would you rather have a polite hawk or a obnoxious dove? And I would take the obnoxious dove, right? Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that they're always telling you is that he's a dictator. He's going to seize power. He's going to do all these things, and it's what they're doing.
Yes.
And they're doing that exact same thing. And so, I mean, everyone says it, and it's a cliche now, but like anything that they tell you that someone else is doing, it's exactly what they're doing. Yeah.
And in that note, you've got to leave, which means I have to leave. I got to go to work. I have to run up and do
I know.
podcast. I'm doing my podcast with Schellenberger, Michael Schellenberger.
Greg, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much for rescheduling, and it was awesome to talk to you.
Yeah, you got to come on the GG show one of these days. We'll work that out. Awesome, buddy.
All right. See you later. Yep.
Congrats.
Thank you. So that was Mr. Greg Gutfeld. The amazing Greg Gutfeld. Sorry, we only had about 20 minutes, but as we said, he has to go. He's a very busy man, so I was glad just to have him on the show. But I think we had a good time. Even though my camera's a little bit wonky, and I missed my intro, but it's all right. It's okay. We'll do all. Since we have a few minutes here, I'll take just 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. If anybody has any questions, and I'll just chat, and then I'll get going. Let me look through the comments here. Let's see what there was. Somebody says, "Miss you on Twitter." Thank you. I miss me on Twitter too. Is there any hope of me getting back on Twitter? Well, yes and no. There should be hope. There should be hope because I have filed 7 copyright counter strikes, or not counter strike, but counterclaims, which should mean that by the terms of service, I should get my account back. And Twitter has refused to respond, basically. But I should have it back already. I just think they're not going to respond at all. They'll just stall until November or something. Need Timcast. Yeah, I can get Timcast. I just need to talk to him. Let's see here. Willie Brown memes. I'm doing mostly non-branded stuff right now. So most of the stuff I'm doing, you won't know that it's mine. He can get them. Somebody says Trump needs your memes more than ever. How can he get them? He can get them off of all of my platforms. And there's pipelines that lead to my memes. So don't you worry about him getting to see them. I'm sure he'll get to see them. I'm on Parler, and I'm also on CloudHub and Instagram. Currently, this show is being broadcast on CloudHub and YouTube. I would really suggest that you guys go check out CloudHub, because I think it's a different feel than Parler. I like Parler, but CloudHub really has a lot more features right now, and they're working on those more. So just check it out. Power Tie had a good video today. I haven't watched Power Ties today. I was getting set up for this. By the way, if you here, let me give you the tour. Look at that. Dirty house, toys everywhere. Look at all this stuff. Crap. Oh, there you go. Trump is my president. Clout, as in CLOUTHUB. Clout Hub. As in clout. Yeah, Parler is pretty good. It's just I think the issues that I have with it are well-known issues, and it's mostly just feel. Like the not being able to like retweet or quote tweet like comments and things like that. But you know, they're minor things. It does a good job. So. When are you going on Greg's show? I don't know. When he invites me, he sort of invited me right there, but we'll get a date figured out. I'd love to be on the show. It'd be especially easy now, right now, because of the they're doing all of their stuff via Skype anyway. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. As always, you can follow me on Parler. You can follow me on Clout Hub. You can follow me on Minds. I'm on Minds. Yeah, I'll get Scott in sometime. I talked to Scott just the other day. I'll get Scott Adams in here. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me basically everywhere but Twitter. I also have a locals community which you can join. And we'll see who we get next week. Maybe I'll have Scott on next week. I'll have to ask him. See if we can work that out. I could take Tyrus' seat. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. All right, guys. I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I will see you guys later.
Welcome to Carpe's Corner. So happy that you're here. So take a seat, have a tea, or grab yourself a beer. Here at Carpe's Corner, we'll learn about our lives. And in between, you might decide to exercise your rights. It's Carpe's Corner. Carpe's Corner. Welcome to Carpe's Corner. Don't forget reviews, comment, like, and subscribe is all you gotta do. Here at Carpe's Corner, please appreciate our guests, and just remember